Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Hello friends, and welcome to more coverage of the ECL Elite Division quarterfinals right here at twitch.tv/Reactio Media. My name is Brandon Bixby, aka B Major, and folks, we have the conclusion of two of arguably the most intriguing series that we have in the ECL Elite Division bracket. We will have the rest of Mustaa versus EXEN, followed by the conclusion of the series between SSK Esports and Mythix. We will start out with the two teams that you see on the bottom of your screen right there. Mustaa versus EXEN, the 4 versus the 5 seed. These two teams come in tied at 2 apiece, and folks, it has been a doozy of a series so far. We'll take a look at the bracket just to show you how everything looks heading into the day. And as we saw yesterday, Last Dance, the #1 overall seed in the division, the first team to punch their ticket into the semifinals next week. We saw Mythix take a 3-1 lead over SSK Esports. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about that later on when we get to that series. Parasite and Hymo currently tied at 1-1. We will see that series reach its conclusion for our coverage on Wednesday. And then EXEN versus Mustaa, the 4 and 5 that we will be watching that series reach its end here today. EXEN start this series out up 2-0, but Mustaa, as we saw on Thursday, able to rattle 2 wins back, including an overtime win to claw their way back into the series and tie it at 2 apiece and turn it into a best of 3. So the lone series that we've seen be tied at 2, it's going to be interesting to see who can take that momentum home, especially with both teams winning the day on the first 2 days that they have played in this matchup. Let's take a quick look at the team matchup to show you how these two teams have fared so far in their first 4 games. And as you can see, it's been as even as possible. 7 goals against, 7 goals for both of these two sides. The special teams, neither necessarily spectacular, especially on the power play. EXEN at 25%, not too shabby, but really I think their penalty kill has to be what has stood out so far. 83.3% so far during the series. You weren't with us during our first 2 days of coverage of this series. We mentioned this stat a few times. EXEN was 56% on the penalty kill. That was the worst in the division by over 12%. So this was a team that was, I mean, quite frankly, rather dreadful on the penalty kill. But so far, they have kept Mustaa in check at 16.67%. This is the Mustaa team that was 8th in the division on power play at 23.8. So EXEN's penalty kill has really been the one advantage that I would probably say, really their special teams as a whole. But outside of that, everything pretty even between these two sides, just as we expected heading between these two teams in this series. Now let's take a look at the starting lineups for each of these two sides, starting out with Mustaa, the #5 seed over on the left side of your screen. And there's going to be one name that we're going to see in there that's a little bit different. But aside from that, the same lineup we have seen. Pandanen at left wing, Launane at center, and Alupekas at right wing, the captain of this team. Well, back on the fence, it's Naryamal at left D and Mise at right defense. And in between the pipes, Latvex, the starting goaltender for this team. They opt to go with him to close the series rather than Carlson Adam. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on today. While over on the other side for EXEN, it's Hermu at left wing, Pikati at center, and Krike at right wing. So the usual forward trio that we've seen succeed for this team since their massive run mid-season. Well, back on the fence, it's Domi and Vanger, the always reliable defensive pairing for EXEN, while back in net, it is Kazu. Now, let's take it position by position. Starting out with the centers, Launane for Mustaa against Pikati for EXEN, and neither of these two guys will necessarily blow you away in terms of the stats so far in this series, but both have been reliable, and you got to remember only 7 goals for both of these two teams in 4 games played. That's less than a 2-goal per game pace. So the points for really none of these players are going to be super high or going to make your eyes pop out of your head, but nevertheless, both centers that are very steady, good two-way centers that can contribute defensively, both playmakers and play drivers as well. Really, I think the biggest thing has to be the face-off percentage. You see for Lanane, 56.5% at the face-off dot compared to just 42.5 for Picardy. That's a bit of a surprise. In the regular season, Mustaa was the worst face-off team in the division. They were 42.7% at the dot. So to see Lanane not only step up, but really dominating at that face-off battle, kind of surprising, especially against an EXEN team that was second best in face-offs at 52.6%. Typically, it's the centers that make up a lot of that statistic, so kind of surprising to see Lanane and Picardy's stats kind of flipped. You would have thought that it was on the opposite side of that heading into the series, but it just goes to show you the playoffs are such a different beast compared to that 30-game regular season. Lanane really stepping up and Picardy feeling the brunt of that. Going to be interesting to see if that evens up here in games 5 through 7. Now moving over to the wingers, the two men that will be lining up to the left and right of these guys. And I mean, again, the story I think has to be the wingers that will be on the left to right side of our screen. Pananen, the left winger for Mustaa, 5 points, all of them being goals. Krike, the right winger for EXEN, 4 points, 3 of them being goals. Those have been the two X factors, and I think the two MVPs probably of this series so far for this team. And Pananen, especially, such an interesting case. Didn't play really for this team in the later part of the season. Played 14 games for them, and I mean, before game 1, before this series started, Pananen hadn't seen action since April 22nd in a series against Blackbirds, so he hadn't played in a little bit over a month in ECL competition, but boy, he has stepped up and has really been a key part for this Mustaa team. I'll be honest, I don't know if they're even still playing today without Pananen and his efforts so far. Well, for Krike, we all know the story with him. It comes in mid-season, played 1 week with Goons, transfers over to this EXEN team after their struggles early on, fills in for Bobby at that right wing spot, and immediately made an impact, was second in the division in goals with 38, just as a winger with EXEN. That doesn't even include his stats with Goons. He has been phenomenal in the regular season, has carried that over so far in this playoff campaign. So going to be a lot of fun to watch those two go head to head again and to see if they can continue their hot run of form that they have had over these first 4 games of the series. Now moving over to the defensive pairings that will be defending these two wingers. And I mean, again, both defensive pairings have been phenomenal. I think Mise and Domi will probably be the ones that really stick out to you, each of them with 6 points. That is tied for the highest of any player in this series. And as we mentioned, I think what makes it so impressive is that both teams have only had 7 goals. So Mise and Domi have contributed to all but 1 goal so far in this series for their team. That is not often that you see that from a defenseman. Typically, that's more of a forward stat that you would kind of get an idea of saying, oh, well, you know, this guy has contributed on almost every single goal that this team has had. Not often that you see that from a defenseman, but Mise and Domi have both been able to do that, and they've been phenomenal on the defensive end as well. You see 7 shots blocked for Mise with 12 hits, Domi with 3 blocked shots in his own right as well as 9 hits, so kind of interesting to see, but don't sleep on the defenders over at Exeter as well. Naryamal has 8 blocked shots, Vanger 2 goals as well, so they've contributed in their own right. These two defensive pairings, 2 of the better ones that you'll find in this division, despite this being a quarterfinals matchup. They're going to have to continue to step up and elevate their game if they want to push their way forward into that semifinals. 2 teams that have made the semifinals in one of the last 2 seasons, so going to be fun to see which side can get the better of the other in this position battle. While last but not least, we've got the starting goaltenders, and we mentioned it with Mustaa. Latvex going to be called as the starter today, the goaltender rookie of the season a season ago. Obviously, we know what this Mustaa team has in terms of between him and Carlson Adam. Always kind of the debate of, hey, which one's going to start if you get to that late series situation? The 2 back-to-back rookies of the season, 2 goalies that are the 2 best young goalies arguably in all of Europe. You kind of have to pick your poison almost if you are the opposite side. Well, Mr. Kultaa going with Latvex, and with the way we saw him play on Thursday, hard to blame them. A 90.3 save percentage, a 1.50 GAA. I think he could have gone with either one, and I don't think you could question it too much. Both of these two guys are absolutely phenomenal, but Mustaa opting to go with the hot hand, Latvex being a part of those two wins. Hard to criticize that judgment. While Kazu, an 86 save percentage in the 4 games he's played, including a nice shutout in there as well. He has been just phenomenal for this team all season long. He has continued to be spectacular for them so far in this series. So these two, going to be fun to watch. We've seen both of them steal games in the past. We'll see if they can do it here in what's going to be a critical game 5 coming up in just a matter of a few minutes as we're getting things set up for that game as we wait for the teams to match up. And again, guys, just such an intriguing matchup between Mustaa and EXEN. EXEN, a team that struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season, but kind of found their groove once it got to about week 3. If you go all the way back to like late week 2, this team was last in the standings, and we kind of had war flashbacks to last year, and you're thinking like, oh man, is this going to get bad for this team? I mean, EXEN started out abysmally to start the season. I mean, as a matter of fact, if you go all the way back to their start of the season, this is a team that only were able to accrue 4 out of a possible 24 points during their first 8 games of the regular season. That is a run that, I mean, it's bad enough to kill your playoff chances. It really is. But EXEN were able to fight their way back. They not only earned their way into the playoffs, but earned their way into a top 4 seed. And a part of that had to do with Mustaa struggling so mightily to end the season. They were the number 1 seed at the end of week 4. I mean, this is a team that was fighting up there with Last Dance, with Mythix, with Parasite for one of those top 3 seedings. And Mustaa in their final 12 games went 4-7-1. They were ice cold, arguably the coldest playoff team coming into this series. Had a nice 2-week break to kind of reset things. It looked a little rough for them in the first 2 games of this series, but they've bounced back really well and now find themselves in a tied situation. So 2 teams that are very even on paper. And by the way, I didn't even mention for Mustaa. Remember, they were the finalists just a season ago. They took Parasite, the almighty Parasite team that will probably go down as one of the best teams in ECL history after only losing 1 regulation game and pretty much dominating their way in the playoffs. This Mustaa team took them to 6 games. They lost that 6th game and lost it convincingly, but they were the only team that took Parasite past that 4 to 5 game point. So this is a very good Mustaa team that was 2 wins away from winning an ECL Elite Division title in just their first season in this division. So very good team, very talented team. We all know the history with EXEN and them kind of finding their way with this new core that they brought in a season ago. They've seemed to find their way now. It's going to be intriguing to see who moves on to this series because you got to feel like a quarterfinals exit would be viewed as a disappointment for either one, but especially a Mustaa team, again, that was in the finals a season ago and looked like they might have been maybe a 2 or 3 seed with just around 10 games to remain in the regular season. But only one team can move on. That's what makes the playoffs so interesting. That's what makes the Elite Division so difficult. Both of these teams, quarterfinals worthy teams. We're only going to see one of them move on. More than likely, one of them will be having a matchup with Last Dance as the 1 seed, unless we do get an upset from either Hymo or SSK Esports as one of those higher remaining seedings. As again, Last Dance will play whoever the highest seed remaining is. So whether that's the 4 or 5 matchup, or if we see that 6 or 7 upset, then Last Dance will be playing one of those teams. We are still waiting on the matchup here to get set. But while we do have a second, we do want to make sure to remind you guys, make sure to go to health.sportsgamer.gg and use the code SportsGamer1 for a 1-month free trial from our friends over at WellNet. They have all types of amazing exercises that you can use right from the comfort of your own home and from the convenience of your fingertips on your smartphone. They even have exercises that are specifically curtailed to gamers. Obviously, very convenient here for the sports gamer community. So make sure to go to health.sportsgamer.gg, use that code SportsGamer1, and WellNet is giving you a 1-month free trial. Totally risk-free. Make sure you take advantage of that. And a big thank you to our friends over at WellNet for giving our community that nice little offer. So make sure you go and check that out and show them some of the same love and support that they show us here at the ECL. And not only that, but we also have a nice little deal going on from our friends at Game Changer. If you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi, Use that code SportsGamer10. You can get a nice little discount purchase on your code on your purchase at checkout. They have all types of amazing supplements, whether it's for focus, whether it's performance. They even have some supplements for sleep and relaxation as well. Whatever you're thinking, more than likely, Game Changer has got it. So if you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi, use that code SportsGamer10 at checkout. They'll give you a nice little discount code on your final purchase. A shout out and a thank you as well to Game Changer for their support of the ECL, one of the newer sponsors that came in this season. Always nice to see them give out some things and give out some codes to our amazing community here at SportsGamer. So make sure you go check out WellNet. Make sure you go check out Game Changer. Use those codes, take advantage of that, and you might get something nice out of it as well. You get a nice product as well in the process. As we are just still waiting on these teams to get set, as you can see they're in the lobby and about ready to go here for game number 5. We'll be watching from the perspective of Mustaa Kultaa, and you get a look at some of the builds. A couple of snipers and a playmaker over on the EXEN side, a little bit different than maybe what we would typically see. While for Mustaa Kultaa, you see a puck moving defenseman up there, you see a sniper and a playmaker kind of all over the place, but interesting for EXEN to see a pair of snipers and then that one playmaker at center in Picardy. Always kind of fun to see the builds and how these different players like to utilize them. Obviously, you have some of the kind of meta builds, as they're called, those builds that all of the players typically like to use, all the same kind of traits and all the same kind of attributes and things of that nature. Well, there's some players that kind of like to switch it up a little bit based on play style, based on what their team specifically is needing or looking for. Always kind of cool to get a bit of an inside look at what these players prefer. I know some guys will come into the chat and kind of ask, hey, what are the builds? Well, there you have them right there. As we are ready to go for game number 5, Mustaa Kultaa and EXEN tied at 2 in this series. One of these two teams going to go into game 6 with a chance to close it out. We'll see which team it will be. Once again, we will be watching from the viewpoint of Mustaa Kultaa wearing their white road uniforms, while EXEN, the home team, in their black and purple, as we are underway and rolling. Mustaa Kultaa starting out with possession as Mythix moves it up past the blue line and looks for an option, passes it towards the middle to Pananen, and gets it over to Alupeka. Shot on there for the point was blocked in front, and EXEN now look to counterattack. Picardy trying to skate his way past the blue line, but an offsides called as a couple of the wingers next to him, about one stride ahead of him, entering the offensive zone. Zone face-off here coming up now. Launenay and Picardy at the dot. Talked about that a little bit earlier, how Picardy has struggled a little bit on the face-offs in this series, but won that one. As Vanger moving his way forward over at the corner now. Up to the point to Domi. Domi at the high face-off circle, trying to find a passing option. Does so in Hermu over at those right boards. We at the point, back to Vanger. Vanger patiently waiting for an option. Goes to Domi. Shot was blocked in front by Mise. Another chance there, but Latvex finds that one and will hold on and freeze it. With 16:02 to play here in the first period. Still looking for our first official shot on net. But EXEN sustaining a little bit of pressure here. Mustaa Kultaa wins the defensive zone face-off, and Alupeka's immediately on the move. He's over to the left side to Naryamal, who goes to Pananen. Down low over to Launenay, and now up to Yamal at the left point. Yamal back over to Pananen. That shot stopped by Kazu, who will hold on to it, and we'll get an offensive zone face-off here coming up for Mustaa Kultaa. We mentioned that EXEN started out with a 2-0 lead in this series, but Mustaa Kultaa able to claw their way back as that shot from the point from Mise was blocked. Mustaa Kultaa still pushing, however. Mise gets it back, holds it, looking for that option, still is circling his way around to try to find an open lane. Stops at the corner and goes down low to Alupekas. Finds his way to Pananen, who goes back to Alupekas, trying to give it up in front, but a better defensive play made by EXEN. Shot on, another shot, 2 saves there from Kazu. Launenay still behind the net with possession. Full pressure for Mustaa Kultaa. Mise over at the right wall. Shot in front was stopped by Kazu once again. Puck loose, found there by Vanger, nearly dangerous, but how about Kazu? 3 saves, 3 shots in just about a minute and a half stretch. EXEN able to kill off that full pressure there of Mustaa Kultaa, but Mustaa Kultaa trying to counter down the other end, but not able to do so there. Approaching the halfway point of this first period. So looking for our first goal of this game 5 as Picardy controls it in the offensive end for EXEN, but EXEN forced to reset. Domi got that poked off of his stick, moves it up to Hermu, but an offside called. Now I'll bring us back into the neutral zone for a face-off. Nine 11 to go here in the opening frame of this game 5. Kultaa takes possession there on that face-off and will look to break it in. Slap shot in the offensive zone, given chase and found by Mise. Over to Yamal's shot, it's blocked in front. Another chance here as Launane holds it over at the right corner. Gives it up to Mise. Mise pass across and they score! Pananen sweeps it in past Kazu. And Mustaa Kultaa draw first blood in game 5, a 1-0 lead. In the late stages of this first period, as you get a look at the replay, that long outstretched pass over to Pananen, who we talked about has been phenomenal in this series. Had 5 goals, all of his points being made up by those goals. Well, he'll make it 6 right there. He gives Mustaa Kultaa that 1-0 lead at just a little bit past the 7-minute mark. And they're looking to push for a second goal here as Pananen holds it at the left wall, gives it to Launane. Launane behind the net, bumped off of that puck, and now EXEN looks to counterattack. EXEN still looking for their first registered shot on net of this game. Mustaa Kultaa with 5 so far of their own. Vanger gives it back to Domi at the point. Domi gives it over to Hermu and gets it back. Domi looking over at the high left face-off circles. Skating his way in just a little bit and trying to find a lane. Gives Vanger on the shot in front, was stopped by Latvex, and he'll hold on and freeze it with 4:06 to play. That's the first shot on net for EXEN today. As Domi just kind of let that one rip from the point, was maybe looking for that tip. Mustaa Kultaa with some space and a breakaway. This is Pananen. Backhand shot stopped by Kazu. Mustaa Kultaa still with possession, shot blocked in front there off of the helmet of Picardy. 2.5 minutes to play. Mustaa Kultaa nearly doubling their lead there, but Kazu and net stops them from making that happen. EXEN has it in the neutral zone and crosses the blue line with Vanger. Gives it up over to Krike. Trying to force his way in front. Can't get anything going, however, and Mustaa Kultaa forces the turnover. Less than 60 seconds to go here in the first period. EXEN take possession and Domi controls it. Takes his time past the blue line, trying to evade the defender and Pananen. Over at the point. Gives it up to Vanger. 1 second left. One-time shot from Picardy was gloved in by Latvex. And that will do it. For the first period of game number 5, it's been all Mustaa Kultaa so far. They've had all the shots, they've had all the opportunities, and they have the one goal that is on the scoreboard. That backhand shot right there from Pananen that gives Mustaa Kultaa a 1-0 lead after 20 minutes of play. So we'll get a look at the stats here real quick, and again, all of the opportunities in favor of Mustaa Kultaa. 6 shots on net for them. Really the time and attack relatively even. Both teams a little bit over 3 minutes, but Mustaa Kultaa has just been able to do more with it so far. As you get another look here at that pass across, and it hit off of the skate of a defender in front and just kind of banked perfectly over to Pananen. So you can argue maybe a bit of a fortunate break there for Mustaa Kultaa, but hey, you'll take them how you can get them. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And for Mustaa Kultaa, that's 1. And gives them the lead heading into period number 2. We want to make sure to thank and shout out our sponsors. Quarterfinals, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support of the ECL and SportsGamer. What we do would not be possible without them. Hopefully they're back home watching and enjoying the coverage, as these two teams have put on quite the series so far, and we'll get at least one more game after this one from them. Could we potentially see 2 as the shot from the point was stopped by Latvex, outstretching that glove and making the save. As again, after this series, regardless of how far it goes, we will have the rest of the SSK Esports versus Mythix series as well. Mythix leading that series 3-1, so we've got a lot of coverage on deck here today at twitch.tv/ReactioMedia. Make sure you stay tuned in right here with us. You're not going to want to miss a single bit. 2 of our semifinalists will be punching their ticket here today on the broadcast, and we'll have one more Elite Division series to finish off on Wednesday night. But EXEN in the offensive zone trying to tie this thing up as Vanger controls it over at the high point. Pressured by Alupekkas and gets it off of his stick. Down low to Picardy. Picardy holding it at the right corner and goes down low over to Krike. Krike giving it back to Picardy, now over to Vanger at the point. Shot there from Domi, blocked in front. And now Mustaa to look to counterattack down the other end. Alupekkas controlling it, but not for long as that puck off of his stick, and EXEN create the turnover. Vanger and Domi working together and cross the blue line. Stops at the point, turning, trying to find a play, and gives it up over to Hermu, who gets it at the wall back to Domi. Hermu gets it back, trying to feed Krike in front of the net, but it was picked off, and here comes Mustaa down the other end. Now Lepeka's shot goes and hits the side of the net, but EXEN able to take over possession. Vanger up the ice with speed, but gets drilled by Ponanen there in the neutral zone. He's still picking himself up off the deck and will finally rejoin the play as EXEN was forced to reset there. Finds Picardy. Picardy across there to Hermu. Shot wasn't on net, but Phil Latvex had to be careful. Tipped in front and hits the post. EXEN starting to get chances here, looking to find that tying score. Not able to just yet, but very much pushing the issue. That shot from the point that was tipped and, boy, nearly inches away from beating Latvex as an offside call as Mustaa tried to go down the opposite end. Over halfway through this game, Mustaa clinging on to that 1-goal lead. No shots on net so far for really either side that have registered on net, but EXEN have had multiple hit the side of the net. You saw that one hit the post just now as that pass across Hilamine doesn't connect. EXEN now take over possession as we reach past the 7-minute mark. This is Vanger with it in the neutral zone. Mustaa trapping that blue line, not allowing them to get past. They're going to dump it in and racing the puck found by Krike. Krike looking, poked off of his stick from behind, and Mustaa now working down the opposite way. Alupekka's at the right wall, holding in, trying to find some space. Could not do so. Nice defensive play there made by Hermu. Picardy with it for EXEN. Feeds past the blue line, poked off of his stick. Poked by Vanger, battled for it, and found by Nisei from Mustaa. Less than 4 minutes to go. Vanger gets it from Domi. Trying to pass it in front to Krike there. Got a shot on, but Latvex was there for it. And Mustaa not allowing a second chance. They're already in the offensive end. Nisei holding it over at the left corner. Gives it up over to Alupekkas. That shot stopped by Kazu. 2 minutes to go here in the second. Domi at the high point gives it up over to Krike. Brings it around over to Hermu, opposite side board. To Domi. Domi shot on from the slot, stopped by Latvex. He'll hold on with 70 ticks to go on the clock. 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in this second period. Mustaa still holding on from that first period goal that we saw from Ponanen. That's what gives them the advantage. And EXEN, despite a nice effort, not able to knot this thing up just yet. 30 seconds to go. Ponanen at the left boards. Vanger steals that off of the stick, and EXEN now working down the other way. Domi not able to get past the blue line cleanly, and Mustaa with one last rush. Nisei with it, shot on. Swept aside by Kazu, and that will do it for the second period. 40 minutes in and 20 minutes to go. Mustaa holding on to that 1-goal lead, and gotta say, EXEN pushing the issue here. Really close to tying this game up on a couple of occasions, despite not many of those shots officially being shots on goal, but been close a few times, and just they're looking to find that one break. Next goal in this one just feels ever so important. Mustaa potentially going up 2. EXEN with the opportunity to maybe tie this thing up, so a big third period, a big 20 minutes coming up, and that next goal feels like it could very well not only sway the way that we view this game, but potentially sway the narrative of the series. Whoever wins this one goes up 3-2 and will have a chance to clinch it in the next contest. As You see the stats, Mustaa Kultaa with the advantage in shots, EXEN with the advantage in offensive zone time. Face-offs really even as well, 6-5 in favor of EXEN, so Picardy doing a good job bouncing back so far at the face-off dot. As we get ready for the third and final period of regulation, we've seen plenty of overtime so far in these quarterfinals, and including an overtime in this series. Could we see another here in Game 5? About to find out as EXEN has the offensive end, and they score! Krike tipped it in front of Latvex! And EXEN finds the tying answer just 51 seconds into this third period. As you'll get another look at it here, it was controlled over at that high point. Just rips it on net, and Krike able to get a piece of a stick on it. We've seen EXEN go for that tip play a couple of times. Nearly scored on it earlier. They score on it right there. And all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, this game is evened up at 1 apiece, and EXEN maybe not done, but an offside called as Krike could not get back over that blue line before Wenger crossed it. But how about EXEN tying this thing up, wasting little to no time in this third period to do so? We just mentioned how that next goal could completely change the perspective of the way this game flows, and indeed it has. Now EXEN feel like they're the team with the momentum on their side. Domi controlling it at the high point. Lost it there as EXEN not able to keep possession, and Mustaa Kultaa trying to work their way up. Slap shot in the offensive zone by Yamal, and found first by EXEN, but can they keep it? They do, as Picardy gets it over to Krike. Krike up the boards with speed, holding it, trying to find the passing option, but it's not able to before Yamal gets that off of his stick. The Kultaa down the other end. Ponanen controlling it. Backhand shot was stopped by Kazu, who will not take any chances, so freeze it. An offensive zone draw now coming up for Mustaa Kultaa. To the right side of Kazu. One back in the defensive zone by EXEN. A big draw there from Picardy to win that one. Here gets it past the blue line. Gives it up. Nice job there from Mustaa Kultaa defensively, and they have numbers 2-on-2 down the other end. Alapagis to Ponanen. Shot was saved by Kazu. 10th shot of the day for Mustaa Kultaa. EXEN with 6. Another shot there. That one doesn't reach the net. Mustaa Kultaa going to be forced to reset as that puck went into the neutral zone. Trying to cross their way back into the offensive end, but not able to do so just yet. Misei controlling it, tries to go off the boards to Alapagis, but couldn't find him cleanly. EXEN taking over possession as Wenger controls it. Gives it to Krike, pass in front, stopped there by Misei, who works up the ice with his teammates. 3-on-2. Alapagis one-time shot there, goes wide from Ponanen. That's another shot saved in the pads of Kazu. Mustaa Kultaa still pushing. Puck in front, found by Picardy, and Wenger will take things up here for EXEN after a couple of scary moments. Picardy behind the net, but found first by Latvex. And throws in the Twitch chat, let us know, who do you think's going to win this game? You got Mustaa Kultaa? Do you got EXEN? Winner of this one goes up 3-2 in the series, has a chance to close this out in game number 6. It's a shot from the point, gloved away by Kazu, who will freeze it with 7:28 to go in regulation. Mustaa Kultaa starting to find their rhythm again offensively after being stalled out there for a good stretch of time. And it looks like EXEN's going to call a timeout here as well. Full pressure meter was starting to build up a little bit for Mustaa Kultaa, and I'm sure the stamina probably getting a little bit low as well. As you see the stats there, Mustaa Kultaa all of a sudden a heavy advantage in shots on net, doubling EXEN with 12 compared to 6, and EXEN on the other hand, a little more time on attack. An offensive zone faceoff coming up from Mustaa Kultaa to the left side of Kazu. One in the defensive zone by EXEN, and Domi working up the boards with some speed. Stopped, however, right there by Alapagis, who just dumps that out. And that's going to lead to an icing call. An offensive zone face-off now coming up for EXEN on the other end of the ice to give them an opportunity. One back by EXEN. Hermu controlling it at the high face-off circle. Gives it up to Domi. Back to Hermu, but turned over is a nice defensive play there made by Mise. Anane at the point. Has some space over those right boards. Gives it up to Mise at the corner. Up to Pananen. Pananen back to Mise. Mise one-time shot goes wide from Yamal. And the race to the puck going to be won by Pananen to keep possession in favor of Mustaa. 3.5 minutes to play. We are tied at 1, and the next goal could very well be the winner. EXEN controlling it on the breakout, taking their time. Vanger gets it from Domi. Feeds Picardy, who loses it but gets it back behind the net. Picardy shot, puck loose on the blue paint, but found first by Latvex, and now Mustaa take possession. As an offside called as Alopekas tried to pass it over to Launane. Neutral zone face-off with 1:43 to go here in regulation. Tied up, won by EXEN. Domi to Hermu. Big hit there by Mise to get him off of that puck, but a nice job from Picardy getting it back. Picardy spin move, pass across, and they score! Krike takes the lead for EXEN with less than a minute to go! We talked about Krike, the impact that he has on this team. Comes over mid-season. Wasn't even on a team when the season began. Played a few games as a defenseman for Goons. Finds his way over to EXEN. Fills in at that right wing spot. Was instantly phenomenal. Had 68 points. 42 goals. Was one of the leaders in this division in both of those categories. And he scores with less than a minute remaining for EXEN. They're up 2-1. But can they hold on to it? You know Mustaa is going to throw everything at them. They have it in the offensive zone now. Mise at the right side, looking for space, poked off of his stick, but he gets it back. Gives it to Alopekas behind the net. Alopekas looking, gives it back to Mise, who goes to Launane at the point. Shot on, saved by Kazu. Another shot, another save. Alopekas gets it back behind the net. Puck loose in front, but found by Hermu. 25 seconds remaining as they're going to just dump this out, and Krike wins the race to that puck. Doesn't keep it, however, and Mustaa now with possession. 15 seconds to go. Is this potentially their last chance? Nari Yamal trying to give it up. Can't find the teammate as Domi picks it off. Puck loose behind the net. Under pressure is Vanger. It's found by Mise. Shot on there. Goes out of play with 2.4 seconds to go. And Latvex is going to come out. Mustaa pulling the goalie. A must-win face-off for Launane. Can he do it? Ooh, Picardy jumped there. Can't get the face-off win. And EXEN take Game 5. A 2-1 win. Both goals from their star winger in Krike. And they take a 3-2 series lead and have a chance to seal the deal coming up here in Game 6. As you take a quick peek at the final stats there, EXEN with the advantage in zone time. Mustaa had the shots, but it was that last goal from Krike that was able to be the advantage. Both of their goals in the third period. That was the first one that tied it up, that tip play in front. And this is the game winner. Beautiful spin move there from Picardy to find Krike over at that right side. And EXEN take game number 5, a 2-1 victory, 1 win away from the semifinals. So we'll bring you back into the booth here as man, oh man, what a game, what a win there for EXEN. They take that victory in come from behind fashion. Mustaa really pushing there at certain parts of that third period, but just were never able to find that goal. Really, that game, and it feels like this has been the theme throughout the series, it's all about capitalizing. Who can take advantage of the opportunities? Who is going to be able to really seize that opportunity and grab it by the horns? In this game, it was EXEN. They were able to get that quick goal to start the third period to tie it up, and then with less than a minute to go in the third period, they're able to capitalize and find that game winner, both off of the stick in their leading scorer and point getter. Pretty game. While these two teams get things set for game 6, we're going to take a short break, collect our breath, hear a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, game number 6, EXEN up 3-2, a chance to punch their ticket into the semifinals for the second time in 3 seasons. Last season's finalists, Mustaa Kultaa, all of a sudden, their backs against the wall and their season on the line. Do not go away, my friends. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
All right, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us as EXEN have a 3-2 series lead heading into game number 6. We are once again watching from the perspective of Mustaa wearing their home black uniforms, EXEN in their road white and purples as Mustaa, the finalists from a season ago, just 2 wins away from hoisting that Elite Division Championship trophy. Just 1 game away now from seeing their season come to an end in the quarterfinals. Unless they can push this to 7, they have it right now in the neutral zone, or in the offensive zone rather. As that shot on from Loudonay was blocked in front, and now here comes EXEN down the other end, trying to pass it over to Domi, but intercepted. As again, an EXEN team that lost in the quarterfinals last season, the season before that lost in the semis. This team was expected to be a finalist contender a season ago, were very surprisingly underwhelming, ended up finishing as a 7 seed, lost to Totorine in just 5 games, 4 or 5 games, and kind of forced them to look in the mirror over the offseason, reset a few things, make a couple of adjustments to the lineup. You see Krike and Hermu, the 2 additions to this team, both of the wingers, and boy, that has done wonders for this EXEN team, even despite a really sluggish start to the season. Looking to close this out here as they have it in the offensive end. Domi controlling it at the point. Pressured by Alapekis, but finds Pikuri. Shot from Hermu was saved by Latvex. EXEN still pressuring, however. It's Krike's pass intercepted there by Loudonay, and now here comes Mustaa down the other end. Say controlling it in the neutral zone. Trying to find a little bit of space up the right wall, but bumped off for that puck, and it's found first by EXEN. Trying to move it up to Pikuri, but couldn't find him as Alapekis now has it over at the right wall. Loudonay over to Mise. Dumped down low, but found first by EXEN as that puck battled for, but Loudonay gets it back. A pass in front there was disrupted by Pikuri. Now Yamal now has it for Mustaa, almost halfway through this first period, just 1 shot on net from either of these 2 teams, one being from EXEN. Kultaa looking to change that here. Ise at the point, couldn't get that pass off cleanly as Hermu intercepted it, and his pass ends up getting intercepted in the neutral zone. So a lot of defense here so far to start this first period. Kind of similar pacing to what we saw there in that game 5. A lot of opportunities, just a matter of capitalizing on the ones that you get. EXEN was able to do that in game 5. They have it right now in the neutral zone as Domi controls it. Domi looking for a pass and goes over to Hermu, who takes a hit there from Mise, who gets it up at the blue line. Mise with it. Oh, nice play there defensively by Wenger to put a stop to that, however. You just feel like these are going to be a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of 2-1 scores. We've seen a few of those in this series, and you get the feeling this game likely going to be the same. Not a lot opening up for either team. That shot was blocked there, and now Kultaa in the offensive end. As Pikuri puts a stop to the rush, and Hermu now with it. Defended well, however, by Mise to get that puck off of his stick. Yamal with it. Breaks into the offensive end and has it at the point, gives it to Mise. Mise back to Yamal, back to Mise. Shot on there was blocked once again, doesn't reach Kazu. EXEN now take over possession with 2 minutes to go here in this first period. Ooh, that pass was a little bit off. May have been poked off of the stick, but regardless, EXEN going to have to reset. Wenger with it. Finds Krike. Backhand shot, and he scores! Krike puts it in off the pipe. And EXEN strike first. A 1-0 lead with just a minute to go in the first period. And we were just talking about it. Can you be opportunistic? Can you take advantage of the chances? And right there, EXEN able to find just a little bit of room. Krike splits the 2 defenders, puts it in past Latvex, and EXEN takes the momentum to start as that pass across Alapekis doesn't reach him. Kultaa is looking to punch right back. They still have it, however, in the offensive end, but it's turned over. Hermu gets that off of the stick. Alapekis gets it, but poke checked away by Wenger, and that will do it for period 1. as EXEN with a 1-0 lead after 20 minutes of play. Krike, the goal-scoring machine for this EXEN team, finds his way to another. He has all 3 goals in the games we have covered today. He has 6 so far in the series, tied for Paninen for the most, and EXEN holding on to that 1-goal lead. Now remember, Mr. Kultaa was in the same position in the last game, down 1 or up 1-0, scored their goal in the later stages of the first period as well. It ended up losing 2-1. So EXEN still have some more work to do. They've been able to see that comeback go on the right side for them. As you get another look there at that goal from Krike, just able to split his way right through those 2 defenders and had a one-on-one with Latvex, and Latvex not able to make that save over at that left post. As a lot of people in the Twitch chat already discussing that Mythix versus SSK Esports series. We will have coverage of that series at the conclusion of this one. So whether it goes 6 or 7, we're gonna have to wait and see. But once this series ends, we will see Mythix versus SSK. As a couple of players and names in the chat debating back and forth on that one. Is gonna be interesting to see if SSK can pull off the 3-1 comeback, or if Mythix can punch their first ever ticket into the Elite Division semifinals. But EXEN looking to do that here. Up 1-0 here as we're underway in the second period and have a neutral zone face-off. Mr. Kultaa wins it back for a moment, it looked like, but EXEN ended up getting it. Domi controls it in the neutral zone for EXEN. Past the blue line and trying to work his way past the defense. Trying to give it back to Hermu, but it's intercepted, and a 2-on-2 potentially developing. Alupeka's with it. Gives it back to Narya Mauls. A shot almost stopped there by Kazu. First shot on net of the game there from Mr. Kultaa. Domi in the offensive end for EXEN, pressured from behind, and gives it to Picardy, who is forced to retreat and resets it. That's something both these teams have been so good at. They've not really allowed the other side to establish much in the offensive zone. They've had time, but just not much in the way of clear-cut opportunities. Because with the Kultaa, once again, they're not able to find one. And that's been the story so far of these games today. You know, you get past that 3rd or 4th game, these teams, they get familiar with each other. They find those tendencies and start to find ways to counteract them. And you're seeing a lot of that here so far. As a breakaway from Mise, backhand shot denied by Kazu. Another shot, another save by Kazu. Paninen still pushing. Gives it to Alupeka, spins behind the net and gives it to Launane. Shot on again, gloved in by Kazu. Puck loose in front and found by EXEN. That kills off the full pressure meter that just built up there for Mr. Kultaa. But from no shots to 4 shots, all in a matter of a couple of minutes there for Mr. Kultaa. Pass across, intercepted there from Vanger. Launane still gets it back. Another shot, another save from Kazu. Mr. Kultaa all of a sudden have flipped a switch here in the second period. 5 shots on net, another shot, another save, and Kazu not taking any chances. He's gonna collect his breath and hold on for the whistle. As boy, oh boy, Mr. Kultaa all of a sudden a surge of offense there over the last 5 or 6 minutes, and EXEN gonna pause and take a time out here to gather themselves. Mustaa Kultaa was getting really close to getting that full pressure meter back, and EXEN, I'm sure, was gassed in terms of their stamina, so EXEN gonna wisely take that time out, and an offensive zone draw coming from Mustaa Kultaa. And you know, you talk about stats, obviously they're good and all, but this is a case where stats can be very deceiving. You would think Mustaa Kultaa has dominated this game based on what you're seeing in there, but virtually all of that has come over the last 5 minutes or so of the second period. All 6 shots have, and most of that time on attack as well. As Mustaa Kultaa still pushing in the offensive end right now. Launane has it behind the net, but it's bumped off that puck and found by Paninen. Is not able to get anything there, and EXEN finally get out of their own end. PK poke checked from behind, and Mustaa Kultaa take over possession. Alupeka's with it, but off of his stick. Domi controlling it in the neutral zone. Moves up to Krike, but can't hold on to that pass, and Mise takes it over from Mustaa Kultaa and begins the breakout. Paninen at the left wall. Gives it to Mise. That shot was blocked by Picardy as well as his teammate there. EXEN is trying to slow things down and stay the momentum. Krike with some space. Nice little between the legs shot there. Doesn't find the net, but a creative play. It's Mustaa Kultaa now counterattack down the opposite end. There's a shot there, goes wide. Mise picks it up at the right wall. Trying to move his way forward, but poke checked off his stick there, and Piketty gets it. Intercepted on the pass attempt as Misei just dumps it in. Vanger will find that puck for EXEN, but it's turned over. The hip check from Alopeka's pass in front, stop there on the shot. Another big save from Kazu. An acrobatic one there at that. As a one-timer blocked in front by Vanger. EXEN on their heels right now. They get out of the zone for now. Herbu gives it to Krike. Stop! Scores! Krike carrying EXEN. And it's a 2-0 advantage for the number 4 seed after all of the pressure they had to withstand. Krike comes down the other end, squeaks it through the 5-hole of Latvex. And Mustaa Kultaa, all of a sudden, after all of the chances, after all of the time in attack, after all of the pressure, find themselves down now by 2 goals with their season on the line. As EXEN have it in the neutral zone, and it may have a 4-on-2 developing, but a nice defensive play there made from Mustaa Kultaa to force the turnover. Less than 90 seconds to play in the second period. Loudonay with it at the high point. Skating forward with it, he gives it to Misei. One-timer and they score! Alupekas! Who else but the captain to guide his team past the treading waters, and now all of a sudden it's back to a 1-goal game. Two to 1 the score in favor of EXEN. And the 8th shot is what finally breaks through for Mustaa Kultaa. EXEN. A few seconds remaining, had it in the offensive zone, but it was intercepted as Misei just gonna drop that one away, and that'll do it for a second period that most certainly picked up in the way of action as EXEN with a 2-1 lead. Got a goal to make it 2-0, but the one-timer from Alupekas beats Kazu cleanly over on that glove side. Cuts that lead in half back to 1. And again, Alupekas, we mentioned that the captain for this Mustaa Kultaa team, we've seen the rise of Mustaa Kultaa over the last couple of years. That includes a light division championship a couple of years ago. Alupekas, he's one of the few from that group that still remain. As this team started in the light division, won the championship in the ECL 23 spring season. And you go back to that roster, him and Loudonay are the only 2 from that team still on the roster. They have been here since the beginning and have really been able to find their way through. As it's a big goal there from Alupekas, and it cuts that lead down the 1. EXEN 20 minutes away from clinching their spot into the semifinals. Can they hold on, or can Mustaa Kultaa push this to a Game 7? We'll find out in the next 20 minutes of regulation as we are underway for period number 3. We want to make sure to thank our sponsors, COVID Occupancy, Game Changer, as well as WellNet for their amazing support of the ECL and SportsGamer. Mustaa Kultaa controlled in the offensive end. Loudonay moves it over to the left boards. Puck battled for and found by Ponanen. Gives it to Loudonay, who gets hit off of that puck by Piketty. EXEN looking to get out of their own zone, and Domi is able to do it. Domi crosses the blue line, stops, and feeds it over the left wall, and it's found by Krike. A shot on, stopped by Latvex there. Couldn't get the second chance. It's picked up by Domi there at the left wall. Tackling it around, but intercepted there by Mustaa Kultaa. Mario Mall gives it to Alupekas at the right boards. Alupekas pass in front there, intercepted by Hermu. A big defensive play there made by EXEN. Here comes Vanger down the other end. Vanger holding it at the right corner, tried to go down low, but intercepted. Mustaa Kultaa trying to work down the other end, down by a goal. He's a shot on, gloved away by Kazu, who will freeze it. 14:52 to go, and you can just feel this game opening up a little bit compared to what we saw throughout that first half of it. Offensive zone draw for Mustaa Kultaa, but one in the defensive zone by EXEN. Domi able to get to that, he works up the ice with speed. And he get over to Hermu, but it's intercepted. Mustaa Kultaa with possession. Ponanen controls it. Nowhere to pass, nowhere to go. It's EXEN. Have it in the neutral zone, and Peabody moves it into the offensive end. Moves around down low, but it's found first by Mustaa, who now have some speed, and they're working in the offensive end. Konanen can't get past the defender, but gets it back. One-time shot! Score! Mise ties it for Mustaa! And just like that, it's like 2-0 never happened. We're all knotted up once again. 12 minutes to go, and Mustaa with 2 unanswered. EXEN looking to get it back as a pass in front intercepted by Alapekas. Konanen finds Launane. Launane trying to work it in the offensive zone, but denied by Domi, who moves up the ice with speed. Domi getting past the defender, couldn't find Krike on that one-timer. Mustaa will slow things down just a bit halfway through this third period, and Mustaa have fought back from down 2-0 to tying this at 2 apiece. Remember, EXEN with a win, move on to the semifinals. Mustaa with a win, push this series to a Game 7. Massive minutes right here on your screen. As a shot potentially upcoming from Mustaa, they're looking for it, as the one-timer from Alapekas was denied by Kazu. Banger controls it for EXEN. How much pressure do they feel right now after dropping that 2-goal lead? Mustaa with all momentum on their side. And he has it at the point, circling around, looking for an option to pass, and he goes to Peabody. Peabody, one-timer from Krike, denied by Latvex. 6 minutes remaining now. Kultaa couldn't keep it in the offensive zone as EXEN now look to break it out. Banger controlling it. Setting up the offense for EXEN. Gets it back from Domi. Banger poked off of his stick, and here comes Mustaa. A 2-on-1, trying to get it to Alapekas, but hit from behind there by Krike. As EXEN trying to work into the offensive zone, but an offside's called. Neutral zone face-off coming up here. Tied up and found by Mustaa. In the offensive zone as Alapekas gets it. Launane behind the net. With the left corner. Trying to find Alapekas, but intercepted there by Domi. Vanger moving it forward and finds Krike. Krike at the left boards, back over to Vanger. Vanger at the point. Holding, trying to find an option, has some space. Shot was blocked in front, however. Mustaa not able to get out of their own end, however. As a delayed penalty going to be called against Mustaa, a power play coming up for EXEN. This is the first penalty we've seen taken today. We mentioned it earlier during the pregame show. EXEN, 25% on the power play in this series. If they can get a power play goal here, it could push them to the semifinals. A critical penalty taken by Mustaa that they will now have to kill off. Banger controls it on the break-in, finds Domi. Domi to Hermu, back to Domi. Domi looking at the high point and gives it to Vanger. Vanger skating forward, gives it back to Domi, trying to hit Krike on that one-timer, but intercepted and dumped out by Yamal. 30 seconds to play. You see Mustaa just waiting for EXEN. They cross the blue line, Vanger with it. To Domi now. Domi looking for an option to pass or shoot. Finds the one-timer, but it's denied. Puck loose in front. Battled for and found by EXEN. Vanger at the point. 10 seconds to go. EXEN looking for the winner. Domi's shot saved by Latvex. Mustaa not able to dump it out. Vanger at the point. Vanger holding it. Domi one-timer was blocked. And Mustaa holds on for now. And EXEN will have a power play as we head into overtime. A potentially series-deciding overtime. As you get a look at one of the couple of saves there from Latvex at the end of that period. To keep his team and to keep his season alive. There's another look at it there. That glove save, and then the puck kind of dropped in front, but EXEN not able to get a stick on it to put that one in the net as See it right there. It was sitting in front, but just EXEN not able to get that shot off as we got a 2-2 score in game 6. We've got playoff, potentially series deciding overtime here coming up. EXEN up 3-2 in the series. A goal punches their ticket into the semifinals, their second trip in the last 3 seasons. Mustaa Kultaa have to kill off this power play, and if they can find a goal, we'll have a game 7 here to decide this series. As for those of you in the Twitch chat, tell us, who do you think gets that game-winning goal? Who do you got for EXEN? Who do you have for Mustaa Kultaa? Do we see a series-deciding hero, or do we see a hero to push this to that ultimate deciding game? We will find out now. Overtime underway. I want to make sure we thank our sponsors once again. Provenance Locracy, Game Changer, and Wellnet. Their amazing and generous support of SportsGamer GG and the ECL. What we do would not be possible without them. A big thank you to them. Make sure you go and show them the support they show us. As a offensive zone draw won by EXEN. Wenger controlling it at the high point and gives it to Domi. Back to Wenger. Wenger gives it over to Krieke at the wall and gets it back. Wenger back to Domi. One-time shot blocked away by Latvex. Mustaa Kultaa with 20 seconds to go on the PK, trying to get out of their own end. Bise not able to do so. It was blocked. EXEN still pushing. Wenger, one-time shot denied by Latvex. Another shot in front. Mustaa Kultaa trying to get out of their own end, and they finally do. Back to 5-on-5. Potential breakaway for Peakery. Can't get it off as Latvex finds it after the pressure from behind, and he'll freeze it. And Mustaa Kultaa gonna call the timeout after they drained pretty much every bit of energy they possibly could have had, and EXEN was really close to getting that full pressure meter. And you see the stats so far. 11-10 in shots in favor of Mustaa Kultaa, 745 compared to 619 of time on attack in favor of MK as well. But they need that third goal to keep their season alive. Can they find it, or will EXEN kill off the dreams of back-to-back finals appearances for Mustaa Kultaa? Faced off to the right side of Latvex. Jumped on by Laudonnet, and it's won by Peakerty cleanly. One-time shot tipped in front, but denied by Latvex again. And you can just feel EXEN getting closer and closer. You can tell they taste it. It's right in front of them. Can they dig a little deeper and find the winner? They have it in the offensive zone again. Domi pressured from behind, but it's turned over as Mustaa Kultaa gets it off of his stick. Mariamal with it, crosses the blue line, but off of his stick, and recovered by Mise, who will just slow things down, retreat, and reset. You feel like that's what Mustaa Kultaa needed, was to slow the game down. Here's a chance. Laudonnet with it. Doesn't keep on to that puck, however, and EXEN once again forces a turnover. Wenger over to Peakerty. Peakerty gets it back. One-time shot, and they score! Krieke wins it for EXEN! The series winner moves EXEN into the semifinals! And who else but their star transfer in Krieke to get the job done? As you get another look at it, the stop, the go, the pass, the shot, and it beats Latvex clean as a whistle glove side. EXEN is moving on. Mustaa Kultaa, the finalists from a season ago, ousted in the quarterfinals. What a game, what a series, and it's the star man who delivers at the star moment. Krieke with the overtime winning goal, the series clinching goal for EXEN. It was a valiant effort from Mustaa Kultaa. Remember, they were down 2-0 in this series. Came back, tied it at 2 apiece on Thursday, including an overtime winner. A valiant effort, both games decided by just a goal, and it was Krieke who scored every single goal for this EXEN team. Absolutely unreal what we just saw. I mean, that is what makes the ECL so special. Star players make star performances and they show up in big moments. Krike, who, again, a veteran of the series, has been around for a while. Obviously, we all know him from those Goons teams, somebody that has been a staple of those teams. You know him for the big hits. You know he has this goal-scoring ability. We've never seen him with this group of players before. He wasn't even with this team, really, to begin the season. But he steps up in the big moment once again, and he leads his team to the semifinals. And this is a player in Krike that, remember, he has contributed to a team that's been to a finals team before, was on Tunnel Vision back in the ECL 24 winter season. That team lost in the finals in 7 games to H-Reds. He's yet to win that title in the last few seasons. He's really trying to get there. I think he might have a good chance here with this team, looking for that first career Elite Division championship. He's one step closer as EXEN moves on. They knocked out last season's finalist, Mustaa Kultaa, in 6. Congratulations to them. And boy, for Mustaa Kultaa, that is a crusher. You think you might have a chance to push it to 7. They're coming off of all of this momentum from a season ago. As we mentioned, last season, their first season in the Elite Division, made all of those star transfers, made it to the finals, were 2 wins away from winning the Elite Division title, knocking off Parasite, who lost just 1 game the entire regular season, were the highest scoring offense in league history, nearly beat that team in that series. The expectations and the bar was set so high coming into the season for that team, and we see them ousted in the quarterfinals in 6 games against an EXEN team that last season, they were the disappointment. They were the ones that were expected to have the high expectations and were knocked out early. Were a 7 seed, lost that series in quick order in the quarterfinals, started this season out slow, were last in the standings after the first 8 to 10 games. They get on that crazy run to end the season, find their way into the playoffs, earn that number 4 seed, and they win a playoff series for the first time since a year ago. Congratulations to them. It's going to be interesting offseason for Mustaa Kultaa to see what they do, but EXEN, they're the story today. They punched their ticket into the semifinals as the number 4 seed. Whew! What a series, folks. What a series, and what a way to end it. But we're not done here at twitch.tv/ReactioMedia. As we mentioned earlier, we've got the rest of the series between SSK Esports versus Mythix. Mythix coming in today with a 3-1 lead. They're hoping to join EXEN as well as Last Dance in that semifinals party. We'll see if they can do it, but before we do that, we're going to take a break, hear a word from our sponsors, and set the table for you for games 5 through 7 for SSK and Mythix. Congratulations once again to EXEN. They move on to the semifinals. Do not go away, my friends. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
All right, we are back. Thank you all for sticking with us as we just saw EXEN punch their ticket into the semifinals. They defeat Mustaa Kultaa in 6 games. They win that game number 6, 3-2 in overtime. Krike with that game winner. But now we turn the page over to our next series, the number 2 seed Mythix going up against the number 7 seed SSK Esports. And as we give you another quick look at the bracket, Mythix coming into the day with a 3-1 series lead. We just saw EXEN punch their ticket, as we mentioned, Last Dance. Were able to secure their spot yesterday. So we're starting to see this playoff picture fill up more and more and more. We have one more spot officially confirmed here at the end of our broadcast today. 3 of the 4 teams, and then as we mentioned, Parasite and Hymo tied at 1 apiece. We will see that series go all the way through on Wednesday on our coverage here at twitch.tv/ReactioMedia. But again, our focus right now, the 2 versus 7 seed, Mythix and SSK Esports. Mythix looking to punch their first ever ticket into the semifinals. They've never won a playoff series in this division. SSK Esports, their first season in the Elite Division, looking to continue what has been a Cinderella story for them really over the last 6 months. It's going to be interesting to see if they can maybe write another chapter with a 3-1 series comeback. I saw a lot of discussion in the Twitch chat about it, saying, hey, you know, SSK, maybe they can continue the run going. Some maybe being a little bit less confident in their chances, but we'll see what they can do as we give you a look at the team matchups to show you how these 2 teams have fared against each other so far in this series. And overall, all Mythix for the most part, 11-5 in terms of the goals for, goals against. I think really probably the biggest story, I would say, it's probably been the special teams. Mythix on the special teams, not at the same level that we have really seen from them in the regular season. And, you know, don't get me wrong, Mythix in the regular season, it's kind of hard to expect the team to keep up with a league-setting record, 51.1% power play. They scored over half the time they had the man advantage. Not really a reasonable expectation, so not going to expect them to do that, but a 20% now, so about a 31% dip. SSK Esports nearly identical on the power play to what we saw from them in the regular season, 33.3%. They were second best in the league at 30.9%, so kind of goes to show you that the special teams have had the advantage towards SSK, but the even strength, the 5-on-5, that has been all Mythix for the most part. They have been the dominant team in terms of possession and in terms of shots on net. They're looking to continue that here in this Game 5 through. They're hoping it's only going to be a Game 5, hoping to punch their ticket and clinch this series as quickly as possible, not wanting to give SSK any more belief than they may already have. Now, let's meet the starting lineups for both of these 2 teams. We'll start out with Mythix over on the left side of your screen. No lineup changes for either of these 2 teams. For Mythix, it's Tempinen at left wing, Mikes at center, and Sokelo at right wing, while back on the fence, it's Akunku on left D, and Vedux at right defense, and in between the pipes, Takedown, the starting goaltender for this Mythix team. While for SSK Esports, again, same lineup that we have seen throughout this series. Kerhead at left wing, the star rookie, look out for him. Rubitus at center, the captain of this team, and then Zupe at right wing. Well, back on the fence, it's the fellow rookie, Adam, and the right defenseman, the one veteran on this team in Beastrom, while back in between the pipes, you've got Broken Rice. As we talked about this SSK team, a mix of rookies and veterans, 3 rookies, 2 guys that have been around in Rubitus and Beastrom. A very interesting mix, but they have stepped up so far, and they're going to look to try to make this series even more interesting heading into game number 5. Now, let's take it position by position. Starting out with the centers, Mikes going up against Rubitus, and both of these 2 have been phenomenal so far in this series. Mikes with 6 points in 4 games. Rubitus had even 4 points in 4 games, 2 of them being goals, including an overtime winner. And I think Rubitus deserves a lot of credit. He's someone that I don't think often gets talked about in terms of the top centerman in the league, but he is a very steady, reliable two-way guy. And it just feels like when we have covered SSK Esports, whenever they've needed that big play, they've needed that big goal, that overtime winner, that game time goal, it feels like it is always Rubitus that is a part of the play, whether it's the pass, the primary assist, whether it's the defensive play that makes it happen, or whether he's the one scoring. It feels like Rubitus always has his hands dirty and is a part and is involved in that big play. Look out for him. He is somebody to really kind of keep an eye on, especially as the captain of this team and someone that, as we mentioned, is one of the few experienced players on this team, one of the few players with extensive Elite Division playoff experience. So look out for him. Look out for Mike's over on that left side for Mythix as well. Now over to the wingers. And the wingers, that was kind of the story and the talking point heading into the series is, again, we talked about the duo of Tempinen and Sokolo. Those two have been phenomenal all season long. Sokolo, one of the leaders in points and goals heading into the season. His first ever playoff series. It's been around for a while, 10 plus seasons in the Elite Division, finally breaks through and makes it into a postseason. He is not disappointed so far. Tempinen, I mean, he has arguably been the best forward in the entire playoffs. 9 points in 4 games played, 5 of them being goals. He is somebody that SSK is going to pay extensive attention to because he has really made them pay more times than not. And you look at the other side, Kerhead and Zupe, both of them finished top 10 in the league in points. And Kerhead, a rookie, joined this team right before the season start from Brenus, and he's made an impact. He has been solid so far in his first ever playoff series. Zupe, not too shabby either, but both of them going to have to step up even further for them to mark a 3-1 series comeback against the number 2 seed and the team in Mythix that was arguably the best defensive and goaltending team in the division during the regular season. And speaking of defense, let's take a look at the defensive pairings and how those two match up. We mentioned it with Mythix, arguably the best defense in the division during the regular season. Both Akunku and Vedux, kind of different flavors of defense. With Akunku, you kind of think more of the defensive defenseman maybe. Still contributes on the offensive end, had 34 points in 30 games, but you compare that to Vedux, 58 points in 30 games, almost 2 points per game as a defenseman. I mean, those are numbers that a lot of forwards do not hit in this division with how tough it is to be able to score and find offense. Vedux did it at that right D spot. So interesting to see those two. While Adam and Beastrom, who have both been relatively reliable on the defensive end, kind of surprising to see just 1 point for Beastrom. He was right behind Vedux in terms of the points for defensemen. He had 47 in his own right. So maybe a little bit surprising to not see him have as many points, but it's been a bit more of a struggle for SSK to find goals. So that doesn't just fall on Beastrom. It's been more of a unit issue. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can maybe step up and elevate his game to that next level. And Adam next to him has been very impressive. Another rookie in this SSK lineup. I think he's been one of their best players. Has denied a lot of opportunities for Mythix over at that lefty side. Look out for him to continue to make an impact here in this Game 5 and beyond today. And last but not least, the starting goaltenders for both of these two teams. Both of these men have been just phenomenal. I think maybe 2 of the best goalies we have seen in the playoffs so far, along with Vamu over for Haimo. And the stats back that up. Type down an 89.6 save percentage, has a shutout in there as well. And Broken Rice, an 84.3 save percentage in 4 games played. And I mean, how good has he been, man? How good has he been? He is a rookie. This is his first ever Elite Division playoff series, and he has kept this SSK team alive in so many games. I mean, he has been absolutely phenomenal. The 19-year-old Swede in his first Elite Division season hadn't had a whole lot of experience prior to this season. Really has stepped up. I mean, you go back and look at some of the save numbers. 18 in game 1, 14 in game 2, 19 in game 3, only had 8 in game number 4, but only on 11 shots. So it just goes to show you what he's done. And then Type Down has obviously been amazing on the other end as well for Mythix. But both these two goalies, they have been amazing. I would expect that to continue here throughout the rest of the series. We've got games 5 through 7 coming up. We'll have the remainder of the series. No matter how far it goes, you will have it seen right here in front of your very eyes on this broadcast at twitch.tv/ReactIO Media. We also want to thank those that maybe are joining us on the YouTube side at ReactIO Media or on Twitter at SportsGamerGG. If you don't follow us on those platforms, make sure you do so while we have a little bit of a chance to collect our breath before this series gets back underway. And while we have that chance, make sure to once again tell you about our friends over at WellNet. If you go to health.sportsgamer.gg, use the code SportsGamer1 and you can get a 1 month free trial. They have all types of amazing exercises right from the convenience of your own home and right from the easy, convenient fingertips of your smartphone. They even have exercises that are specifically curtailed to gamers like you and I. So make sure you go to WellNet, health.sportsgamer.gg. That's again, health.sportsgamer.gg. Use the code SportsGamer1. You get a 1 month free trial. A big thank you to WellNet for offering that for the sports gamer community. Make sure you take advantage of that. Helps them out, helps us out. Show them some of the love that they show us. And they aren't the only ones offering a deal. We also have our friends over at Game Changer. If you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi and use the code SportsGamer10 at checkout, you get a discount code on your final purchase. They have all types of amazing supplements, performance, focus, memory, sleep, you name it. They've got it. Just an easy 2 capsules a day. Go to GameChangerOfficial.fi, use that code SportsGamer10 at checkout, and you get a discount code on your final purchase. So once again, big thank you to Game Changer for their support and for offering that nice deal for the ECL community. As you see these two teams about ready to go in the lobby, loaded up. Take a look at the builds there. You can see kind of some of the same meta builds, playmaker and puck moving defender. I see a dangler there over on the side of SSK Esports for Kerhead. Not often that we see that dangler build used, but Kerhead switching it up a little bit. And like we said earlier, always interesting to see what those builds look like. A lot of players like to kind of go with the typical builds that you see most of the top players utilize in the league, but some like to kind of carve their own path and go their own way, march by the beat of their own drum. Kerhead doing that with that dangler build. He has been phenomenal this season, so hey, maybe he's putting some of us on to a nice little setup for our players back home. But he's going to have to really step up for his SSK Esports team. They find themselves down 3-1 in the series. Mythix just 1 win away from moving on to the semifinals. It'll be their first ever Elite Division playoff win. Can they get it here? We'll find out. We'll be watching from their perspective in their Navy home uniforms, while SSK in their road whites. We've seen 2 overtime games even already in this series. So, folks, here we go. We're underway for game number 5, and Mythix have it in the offensive zone. A shot almost blocked in front there as Vadux tried to put it on. SSK take over possession and already going to just reset. Didn't like what they saw in front of them. Eastern controlling it, slaps it in the offensive zone, but it's going to actually lead to an icing, so an offensive zone face-off now upcoming for Mythix. Talked about this Mythix team. This is their 3rd season in the Elite Division. They've made the playoffs all 3 seasons, have incrementally improved every season. The 6th seed in their 1st season, back when they were Brooklyn Esports a year ago. Lost to the eventual champions Tunnel Vision in the quarterfinals last season, moved up to the 5 seed. Knocked out by Void to Matone with relative ease in 5 games, but then this season, really the question for them, could they move in the upper echelon in the Elite Division? Could they become a championship contender? The number 2 seed, and they score to start the game as Tempinen, the gold helmet wearer for this team, strikes first, and Mythix wasting no time looking to close out this series. As you get another look at it here, just the quick pass, the quick shot, and I mean, you gotta give credit where it's due. It looks like Beastrom had that pretty well covered. Stick and glove right there. Even a skate was in the way, but Broken Rice not able to make the save, and Beastrom not able to stop him from getting the shot off. Mythix with a 1-0 lead to start out this game, just over 3 minutes in. And they already find themselves up by a goal, and they might not be done as they're back in the offensive zone right now. DK's trying to pass it in front there to Tempinen, but it's disrupted. Now SSK Esports trying to respond down the other end. Turn it over, Mythix dumps it down, and it'll be an icing. An offensive zone draw for SSK Esports, but as we were saying before, Tempinen ever so rudely interrupted us with his amazing goal-scoring ability. This is a Mythix team that a lot of people wondered, could they push into that championship contending status, earn that number 2 seed? Really were up there the entire season contending for that first spot, and so far so good. 1 win away from finding their way into the semifinals, and they have a chance to extend their lead here. Tempinen a 1-on-1, but disrupted from behind there by both Adam and Beastrom. SSK Esports trying to work down the other end as that shot counts as a shot and swept aside there by Taekden. It's into the offensive end. trying to establish something, but not able to do so as Beastrom picks up that turnover, and now SSK look to work their way down the opposite end. Offense has been the issue for SSK throughout the series. They've been great defensively, they've gotten great goaltending, but just not enough chances on the offensive end, and they're going to have a delayed penalty here coming up. As Mythix will go on the power play, Adam will head to the box. We mentioned the power play for Mythix. It has been stifled a little bit so far in this series. SSK, we talked about their defense. The penalty kill has been a part of that. But Mythix, the best power play in ECL Elite Division history, 51.1%. No team has ever reached past that 50% mark until Mythix did it this season. So they can capitalize on the man advantage here. Face off to the left side of Broken Rice. One back by Mythix. Vaduks gives it over to Sokolo. Down low, pass in front. Can't get the shot off there as Tempinen got that pass in front. Couldn't do anything with it. Mythix forced to reset. As Kunku takes it up and gives it to Vaduks. Vaduks holding it. Looking shot on, gloved away by Broken Rice, who will freeze it with 10:16 to play in the first. 1 minute and 6 seconds to go on the Mythix power play. That's a zone draw here for Mythix. One back to Sokolo. Over to Mythix. Mythix back to Vaduks. One-timer attempted by Tempinen, but not able to get it off as SSK dumped that out. And just over 30 seconds to go on the man advantage. Tempinen up the left boards with speed. Back to Akunku. Akunku up to Vaduks. Shot from Sokolo was saved by Broken Rice. And we once again hold on to it with just 14 seconds to go now. Face off to the left side of Broken Rice. Mythix has won the last two, but couldn't win that one. Zupe clears that out immediately, and now will bring Adam out of the box and back to 5-on-5 with SSK unscathed after that penalty. Still down by 1 goal, but Mythix with the pressure, with the momentum, and in the offensive end, but it's turned over. It's SSK with a chance. This is Rubitus with it. Moves back to Kerhead, poked off of his stick, however, by Vaduks. Mythix potentially with numbers, but that pass was off and leads to a turnover. 7 to go here in the opening frame. Mythix started out the scoring with a goal from Tempinen. The lead 1-0, but SSK looking to tie things up. It's a Kunku shot blocked in front, and he gets it back. This in front was disrupted there by Kunku. Kunku gets it back and finds Tempinen, but it's turned over as Beastrom ends up fighting it for SSK, trying to speed his way into the offensive end, but it's offside. Latter stages of this first period. 4:50 to go. Mythix holding on to that 1-goal advantage. They control it right now in the neutral zone and moving in past the blue line with Tempinen. The right wall bumped off of that puck, and Rubitus forces the turnover. Gives it to Kerhead. Kerhead to Rubitus. Now to Zupe. Zupe holding on, but could not do so for long as Akunku once again making a defensive play. He has been all over the ice for Mythix so far in this game. There's an offside going to be called, and a big hit after the fact, and I'll give us a neutral zone face-off. Mythix and Rubitus get set for the draw. One back by SSK Esports as Beastrom will set up. And Zupe not able to cross the blue line cleanly, and it leads to a turnover. Kunku gives it over to Tempinen, but it's turned over. A nice defensive play from Zupe. Puck loose and found by Tempinen. Tempinen just going to go all the way back and give it to his defender to start the breakout here. 1 minute to go here in the first period, but an offside before we reach that point. Making 1 minute and 4 seconds. Another neutral zone face-off now coming up. Tied up and won by Rubitus. Kerhead has it for SSK. Moves it in front, puck loose at the blue paint. SSK one-timer and they score! Kerhead ties it for SSK! And we talked about Kerhead, how phenomenal he has been for this SSK Esports team all season long. A phenomenal rookie goal scorer. He had 61 points in his 30 games played, set an Elite Division record with 36 goals in his rookie season. Ranked top 10 in the division in both points and goals. Had the overtime winner in Game 3 for this team. He steps up there on that shot to knock this thing up at 1 with just around 20 seconds to go. As SSK Esports trying to work at it again, but an offside call, 7.9 remaining. And that's been a part of the story for this SSK Esports team. This entire team is just filled with things and characters that you wouldn't expect. As Mythix having in the offensive zone, couldn't hold on. A breakaway for Rubitus. He's not going to get the shot off. A lucky break there for Mythix, but nevertheless, they're tied at 1 with SSK Esports at the 1-goal lead, with Tepinen kicking off the scoring early in that first period, but SSK in the dying seconds of that opening frame find Kerhead on that one-timer, beats Tyke down, and makes this thing an even scoreline after 20 minutes. As we'll get a look at some of the numbers there after that first period of play, and really a lot more even than maybe you would have expected. SSK actually with more time on attack and a rather even amount of shots on net. As we'll get a look at all the goals. This was the opening goal there from Tepinen, the gold helmet wearer for this team, and you see why. Just squeezed that through the 5-hole of Broken Rice, and SSK, they found themselves down by 1. You thought maybe they'd be down by 1 to end this period, but Tyke down with the initial save. And who else? Who else to pick up that puck but Rubitus? We talked about him earlier. He just always seems to be there for that big play and seems to be involved with it one way or another. And you see right there, he's the one that got to that puck at the blue paint, fed Kerhead, and got him that goal. As we're on the way for period 2. Mythix with the offensive chance, but Timlin's shot hits the post and out of play. We also want to make sure we shout out Brinus IF Esports for the raid. How about that? Kerhead and Adams' former team. That team watching their 2 former players here, as hopefully their games went well, and I'm sure Kerhead and Adam hoping that their games go well here with their season on the line, down 3-1 in this series with SSK Esports. As an icing going to be called, as Mythix going to get another offensive zone draw coming up. We talked about it with this SSK team, a team that just is full of surprises. No one even thought they'd be in the Elite Division. Back in December, they clinched their spot in the Pro Division playoffs as the last seed. They made the playoffs by just 1 point, clinched it on the final game of the regular season. They were the number 16 seed, upset the 1 seed, made a magical run to the finals before losing, but won the relegation playoff to punch their ticket into the Elite Division. No one expected much of them in this division. A lot of people had them as a relegation possibility, but they made the playoffs, were really in the playoff hunt the entire time, were never in much danger to miss, and found themselves as the 7th seed, and really found their way to the lead right there. But Mythix now trying to knock them off and end their Cinderella story here. SSK hold possession, and Beastrom has the break-in for SSK Esports. Zupe wins the race to that puck and has it behind the net. He's over to Kerhead, who goes back to Beastrom. Shot on, hits the post there, hits that bottom left pipe. SSK, they have ramped up the pressure here in this second period. They have found a couple of opportunities, but not able to break through past Tyke down in this Mythix defense so far. Kicks into the offensive end now. Mikes gives it up to Vaduz. Back to Mikes at the right corner. To Vaduz at the right wall. One-time shot is blocked by Beastrom. And then controlling it now for Mythix over at the left wall. And to feed Mikes, but Cannon gets it back. Up to the point now to Akunku. Gets his way forward. One-timer from Sokolo. Finds the pad of Broken Rice, but Mikes gets it back, but that pass up to Akunku hit off of the boards and will force a reset. Approaching the halfway mark of this game 5. Tied at 1 apiece. Mythix kicked off the scoring with Tepinen's goal, but SSK were able to tie it up on a one-timer from Kerhead. Now they'll have an offensive zone face-off coming up. It's to the right side of Tyke down. One back to Beastrom. to Rubatus and gives it back over to Beastrom, who goes to Adam, but it's turned over on that pass attempt, and Mythix working down the other end. Tempinen could not feed Sokolo cleanly, and it's picked off. Zupe holding on the neutral zone and tries to give it to Kerhead. Puck loose, raced for, and found by Kerhead first. Tied up at the boards and kicks it over to Rubatus. Rubatus shot on, saved there by Taekdown. Sixth shot of the game for SSK. Mythix with 5 so far. And for number 6, here's a shot from Tempinen, scores! Goal number 2 of the game for Tempinen. And he takes the lead right back for his Mythix team. And how about the quick passing play, a little tic-tac-toe there from Mythix, just working their way up with quick passes. They find their goal-scoring threat. He beats Broken Rice there at a near similar spot on the ice that he did on his first goal. And Tempinen with yet another goal in these playoffs, a 2-1 score now in favor of Mythix. As man, Tempinen has really elevated into a true playoff performer for this team. As a delayed penalty, however, going to be called against Mythix, so a power play coming up for SSK. Unless they do find a goal here. Adam controls it at the high left point. Broken Rice will join the offensive attack here as he pulled the net. Zupe up to the point to Adam. SSK taking their time. One-time shot stopped by Taekdown. And they touch up on it, and Sokolo will head to the box as we're going to look at the penalty here. Yeah, just an interference right there, just bumping off of Zupe, and no doubt, no question about that one. So SSK will go on man advantage. We mentioned their power play has been a strong suit for them, not just in the season, but in the playoffs as well. 33% in this series, 30.9% in the regular season. Second best in the division, only behind Mythix. It's had the best PK at 87.8% in the regular season. Need that to show up here. SSK working in the offensive end as a shot from Beastrom was blocked by Tempinen, and a potential breakaway here. Tempinen 1-on-1, 2-on-1, pass across, hits the post with the shot. That was a Kunku who put that one on. And here comes SSK. Rubatus with it. Rubatus shot, pass across, stopped by Taekdown. Puck still loses a shot, saved again by Taekdown. SSK pressuring and have full pressure on. Beastrom at the slot, moving forward, poked off of his stick, but found by Zupe at the right point. Zupe over at the wall, goes behind the net and gets it back. Turned over, and Tempinen able to dump that one out, and that is going to kill off the rest of the power play of SSK Esports. So a dangerous power play really for both teams, but SSK not able to find the tying answer with it. Warhead has it over at the corner. Gets it down low. Zupe's shot blocked there by Akunku. He is, again, just been a menace defensively, denying chances, blocking shots, creating turnovers. What makes them and Vayduk such a great pairing. They just mesh so well together. It's like peanut butter and jelly back there. Akunku controls it right now and ends up finding Mythix. 5 seconds to go. Shot from Tempinen was denied. Another shot there was saved, however, by Broken Rice, who will freeze it with 2.3 seconds remaining. Take a quick offensive face-off win and a quick shot for Mythix to really have a chance at this. We'll see what they can draw up. Get back. A one-timer from Tempinen was saved by Broken Rice. A nice play there, but the goaltender just a little bit better. That does it for the second period. A 2-1 lead for Mythix. 1 period away from moving on to the semifinals as SSK Esports potentially just 20 more minutes of their season. They're going to have to bring out everything they can to extend this series for at least one game. As get another look there as the goal from Tempinen that broke the tie. We mentioned him being the gold helmet wearer. For those maybe not familiar, the player that wears the golden helmet, the leading point scorer for their team. That's why you see Tempinen donning it for this Mythix squad. And we'll get one more look, a closer look at that goal that broke the tie up. Is again just a quick passing play for Mythix. Mythix giving it over to Tempinen. Looked like Broken Rice might have been there for it, but just a hair off. Tempinen able to squeak it past him on that glove hand side, and puts it in the back of the net. You get another look there at the one-time chance there from Zupe that Takedown denied SSK of. They would have been tied if not for that. We talked about Takedown and how great he's been, an 89.1 save percentage in this series, one of the leaders in the regular season as well, at over 83%. He stepped up. Can he do it for another period? We're underway for the third and final frame of regulation. And SSK going to tie this thing up and maybe extend this series. Mythix looking to seal the deal right here. SSK had it in the offensive zone. Zupe shot hits the post. Loose in front. Zupe finds another shot, blocked away by Takedown. Mythix get it in their own zone and will move it out. Kunku with speed gets to the Nikes. It's an offside call. Templeton was just a little bit ahead of him there. 17-13 to play. Neutral zone face-off draw now for Mythix and SSK. SSK win it back. And working in the offensive end. Eastern controls it over at the right wall. Trying to pass it across the Gurhead, but a nice pick-off there from Vedu. Okolo under duress, and that's going to lead to an offsides. And that's a nice job there from Adam to stop that break-in. We talked about Adam. He's somebody that may not blow you away with the statistical numbers, maybe not the highest point getter on this SSK team, but he disrupts a lot on that left side of the ice for this SSK team. You saw a glimpse of it right there. He controls it now and finds Kerhead. Over to Zupe, back to Kerhead. Puck loose behind the net, and recovered by Akunku from Mythix. Puck moved up to Sokolo. He's got a chance. Puts on a move, trying to get the shot on, but a better defensive play by Adam and Beastrom. Kerhead moves it past the blue line for SSK. Over to Zupe. Zupe turning, looking, trying to find it out. The one-timer from Beastrom was blocked in front. Zupe gets it back, however. And over there is now Templeton up the boards and back to Akunku once again. Akunku past the blue line. The circle at the right corner, down low to Mikes. Next goal feels very critical. Mythix with a chance to go up 2. SSK with a chance to tie it. Mythix with it in the offensive zone now and working it around as Akunku disrupted there on that flow, and now Mythix have to work their way back in. They do so rather easily as Sokolo has it at the right corner. As a pass to the point, nobody home for it, and that's going to force a reset. But Mythix, they don't mind that. They're up by a goal, so if anything, the time is their friend. They're fine to see some of that clock kill itself off. Sokolo controls it, bumped from behind by Beastrom to create the turnover. 8.5 minutes nearly to play. Mythix up by a goal still. Both goals from them from Templeton. An own goal for SSK from Kerhead. As Templeton has it, looking for the hat trick. Shot was blocked by Beastrom. Has it, the corner is tied up on the boards and gives it to Sokolo. Backhand shot saved by Broken Rice. Mythix still pushing the issue. A big hit there from Rubitus, who had to just kind of retreat after he dumped that out. Not sure if he meant to do that, but gives Mythix another possession here. Approaching the 6-minute mark. Kunku with it at the right boards. One-time shot blocked in front. Puck loose, found by Adam. And Kerhead gets it now and moves it up the ice for SSK. Over to Zupe. Zupe pressured from behind and goes to Beastrom. Beastrom looking for space. Goes to Adam at the point. Works it down low to the corner to Zupe. Tied up on the boards and kicks it over to Rubitus. Rubitus has been the player to step up for SSK. Does he have one more in him at least? Less than 3.5 minutes to go. Mythix just going to dump this one down. Sokolo's going to win the race of that puck and negate the icing, but SSK ends up picking the puck up. Adam with it. Gives it to Rubitus. One-timer from Zupe, stopped by Takedown. 2 minutes to go. Mythix closing in on a semifinals appearance. Can they seal it? They have it in the offensive zone with less than 90 seconds, but they turn it over. Here comes SSK down the other end. Their season fading. Can they make a play? Pass across, denied by Akunku. Less than a minute to go. Mythix can smell it, they can feel it, they can taste it. It's right in front of them. 47 seconds away. They dump it to the left boards, but it's picked up by Rubitus. Beastrom gets it, but an offside's called with 43.5 ticks to go. a timeout going to be called as well. Get another look there at that offside that was called. The stats are rather even. I would say this is probably the best that SSK has played in terms of a complete game in this series, but just one goal to show for it. They have to find two. One to tie, one to win if they want to keep their season going. And Mythix closed this out. As you saw, a hit on Beastrom led to an injury, so it's going to hamper his ability a little bit, especially skating, and that's big with just 43.5 seconds remaining. So I'm going to keep an eye on over that right point for SSK. But a big neutral zone face-off won by SSK, but they're going to have to do it again as another offside call. Mythix looking to punch their ticket into the semifinals here. SSK win another neutral zone draw. Kerrhead gets it past the blue line. Holds it at the corner and goes to the point to Adam. One-time shot there on the slapper. Another shot, another save there from Takedown. 27 seconds to go. For a one-time shot and he scores! Beastrom ties it for SSK Esports! Off the post and in! On the pass from Kerrhead! Beastrom extends the lifeline potentially for SSK! And the Swedish contingent have tied this up at 2. It was now or never in Beastrom's stead now, but can they find one more goal? Tied at 2, 20 seconds to go. Shot on, hits the side of Takedown. Puck found by Adam at the point. Shot blocked in front by Rubenton. Shot on again, gloved away by Takedown. And he'll hold on and freeze it. It looks like there was an injury potentially picked up there by one of the Mythix players. That was Mikes, the centerman, after he had blocked that original shot in front. Yeah, you see the replay right there. How about this SSK team? They just do not stop, they do not give up, and they just do not go away. Whenever you think they're dying, whenever you think they're down, they rise up. It's like the Undertaker. They just come out of the casket. Can they extend their season by at least one more game? They have an offensive zone draw, but don't win it. SSK not able to capitalize on it. Beastrom with it in the neutral zone. 3 seconds to go. Kerrhead with it, but not able to get a shot off. And folks, for the third time this series, we will have overtime. We've seen one team clinch their place into the semifinals on an overtime winner. If you were not with us earlier in the broadcast, EXEN defeated Mustaa Kultaa 3-2 in overtime. A game-winning goal, a series-winning goal by Krike. And ironically enough, the final score of that game, 3-2. Mythix gonna hope for a little bit of that same magic here, while for SSK, they want to push this to a game 6. These are two teams that are very familiar with overtimes. You mentioned it. This is the third overtime game we've seen from these two. Mythix won game number 1 in double overtime. SSK won game number 2 in double overtime. And if you go all the way back to the regular season, Mythix an overtime record of 4-2. SSK, they played 7 overtime games and won 6 of them. A 6-1 OT record, more overtime wins than any other team in the Elite Division. As you get another look there at that goal, the one-timer from Beastrom hit off the top of the right post and in the top shelf where the kids can't get it, and Takedown, he was right with the kids. He could not reach that either. We've got overtime coming up. Series on the line. Will Mythix go to the semifinals, or will they have to wait another game? So we're going to start out with an offside, and while we do have that break, I want to make sure to shout out our sponsors. Covenant Game Changer and WellNet. A big thank you to them for their support. They're back home watching. They have certainly not been disappointed by the action we have had today. All of our games decided by 1 goal, including 2 overtimes, 1 that we have going on right in front of us right now. Mythix trying to clinch their place into the semis. SSK trying to extend their season just one game further at least. Stokolo has a pass in front, shot on doors! Mythix, the captain, wins it for Mythix! And for the first time in club history, they're moving on to the Elite Division semifinals! Bidding for Mythix to be the man that sends his team forward. A staple of this team, the captain of this team, has been with them since the Bjork Club and Esports days. A veteran of the series, spent time with Roots Gaming, spent time with Hymo, has had little to no playoff success in this division, has never won a round in this division, not just with this team, but as a player. And for the first time in club history, Mythix are playoff series winners in the Elite Division. And while there's elation on one side, there is dejection on the other. SSK Esports, a magical run to get to this point. Again, a team that no one in a million years thought 6 months ago would be in the Elite Division. They had to have the last game of the season clinch their playoff spot in the Pro Division last season. They were the last possible seed, the 16 seed. They make a magical run to the finals, make it into the relegation playoff, win that relegation playoff to clinch their place into Elite. And then everyone said, oh, that's cute. What a fun story. They'll get knocked right back down to the Pro Division next season, more than likely. I was right with them. I picked them to finish 15th or 16th in this division. I'll be the first one to eat crow on that one. And SSK Esports proved the entire ECL world wrong. Were competitive all season. Were always a playoff team. Didn't just squeak their way in. They were firmly a playoff team this season without any questions. Pushed this Mythix team to the very brink. 3 overtimes out of the 5 games. But it just wasn't enough. And they fought back and they scratched and clawed, including in this game with that late goal from Beastrom to tie things up. You thought maybe SSK would be able to write at least a couple of more pages in their storybook season, their storybook ECL 25 campaign. But nevertheless, and you get another look there, this was the game-tying goal there from Beastrom. Mythix not able to get it out of their own zone. Kerrhead fed Beastrom, but right here was where it all ended. The pass from Sokolo over to Mythix and Broken Rice, who has been so good in these playoffs. I think he was most certainly made a name for himself, and I think put the entire ECL on notice with his performance in these playoffs. Just not able to make that save. And Mythix are moving on to the semifinals, their first ever playoff series win in the Elite Division. We talked about it. It's been a long time coming for this organization. The last 3 seasons, the last 2 seasons, you know, the first 2 tries didn't go well for them. They won a combined 2 games in their first 2 playoff series, and this season, they were wondering, is this the year? They made some of those changes to the lineup, and everyone was saying, if Mythix is going to push into that next level of ECL Elite Division teams, they've got to find a way to do it this season. They did so. They clinched that number 2 seed. They went up against a scrappy team that came in with nothing to lose in SSK Esports. That was an SSK team playing with house money. No one thought they would be in the playoffs. No one thought they had a chance to beat Mythix. But they pushed them to the brink very easily. Could have been a 6 to potentially 7 game series, but Mythix winning 2 of their games in overtime, including that game number 5, the goal from Mythix, their captain, clinching the series, punching their ticket into the semifinals. Congratulations to them as we shift over to the bracket and give you the final picture of everything after today's coverage. As once again, Mythix move on to the semifinals. They defeat SSK Esports in 5 games, a 4-1 series victory. We saw EXEN take a 4-2 series victory over Mustaa Kultaa, ending their series as well in overtime fashion. Krike with that game-winning goal. Those 2 teams have moved on. Last Dance, we saw clinch their spot into the semis yesterday. They won their series over Totari in 5 games, 4-1. They move on. So 3 of our semifinalists are confirmed. The final series, Parasite and Hymo. We will have coverage of that right here at twitch.tv/ReactTheoMedia. That will be on Wednesday. We'll give you all the information for that in just a little bit, but nevertheless, as you can see, games 3 and 7. Wednesday, June 4th, 1945 CEST, the official start time. Puck drop scheduled to start at 20 CST. Number 6 seed Hymo versus the number 3 seed Parasite. I will be right back with you right here on the call for that. Again, live on twitch.tv/ReactTheoMedia. You can also find us live on our YouTube at ReactTheoMedia or on our X account at SportsGamerGG. And if you weren't here with us last week for the beginning of that series, well, let me tell you guys, you're not going to want to miss that. Those two games were both decided in overtime. Hymo winning game 1, Parasite winning game 2. So those two teams have been very tightly contested. Parasite, remember, the defending champions looking to defend their crown, looking to go back-to-back and sweep the ECL 25 winter and spring seasons, but Hymo giving them everything they can handle. So make sure you don't miss that again. Wednesday at 1945 CEST, live twitch.tv/ReactTheoMedia or on YouTube at ReactTheoMedia or on X at SportsGamerGG. However, it doesn't mean we won't have action tomorrow. Our Pro Division quarterfinals coverage. Rogue Esports up 2-1 in the series over Almost Famous. Almost Famous won this division 2 seasons ago. Did not end up making it up to the Elite Division. Had some issues behind the scenes and resolved, but they're back this season, have worked their way back up to the Pro Division, and are looking to win their second Pro Division title in the last 3 seasons, but are going to have to pull off a comeback effort against Rogue Esports. We will have the conclusion of that series. It's King Lion, Mr. Tegan Blair, back on the mic. Glad to have him back as he will be on the call for that Pro Division coverage. It'll be live right here at twitch.tv/ReactTheoMedia. You can also find us again on YouTube at ReactTheoMedia and on Twitter at SportsGamerGG. Coverage starting at 1945 CEST tomorrow. Puck drop set for 20 CEST. So make sure you join Tegan along with the Pro Division coverage for that. These Pro Division teams, they're the future. They are the future. We've seen a few Pro Division teams come up and make their way. Mythix used to be one of those teams in Bjorklov and Esports. We talked about the story with SSK. With the Kultaa were one of those former Pro Division teams that were dominating and making these ECL Pro Division quarterfinals and semifinals season after season. Dotareep were one of those teams as well as a Pro Division champion back in the day. So these are the future teams in the ECL. Rogue Esports and Almost Famous definitely fit that billing. So make sure you join Tegan for that coverage tomorrow, 1945 CEST, right here at twitch.tv/ReactTheoMedia. So we'll bring you back into the booth for one final time. Folks, what a broadcast we had. We have 2 more semifinalists. EXEN moving on. Mythix moving on, both of them clinching their spot in an overtime winning fashion. Congratulations to them. Also, congratulations to both Mustaa Kultaa and SSK Esports on really respectable seasons, both of them making the playoffs. Not easy to do here in the Elite Division, the best division that you'll find, the best league that you'll find in all of Europe. Thank you all for joining us today. We want to make sure to thank Ken and the SportsGamer GG staff for everything they do to make this thing operate behind the scenes. Our amazing producer, Chris Ryan, making everything work on the technical side that you see behind this broadcast. Our sponsors, once again, COVID on Octacy, Game Changer, and Wellnet. A big thank you to them. Without their support, none of this would be possible. And thank you for you guys spending your Monday evening with us, or your afternoon if you're over on the North American side of things. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Brandon Bigsby. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow for Pro Division coverage, and on Wednesday for Elite Division quarterfinal coverage. So make sure you join us for that. We'll see you guys later this week.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.